Donald Trump made a tweet. That's basically how everything starts now. Every conversation starts with Donald Trump made a tweet. All U.S. ships, aircraft, military personnel with additional ammunition, weaponry, or anything else that is appropriate and necessary for the lethal prosecution and destruction of an already substantially degraded enemy will remain in place in and around Iran until such time as the real agreement is reached, is fully complied with. If for any reason it is not, which is highly unlikely, all right, we'll see, man. We'll see. I don't know. I'm feeling like it might be a little likely. The shooting starts bigger and better, stronger than anyone has ever seen before. It was agreed a long time ago, and despite all the fake rhetoric to the contrary, no nuclear weapons, and the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. In the meantime, our great military is loading up and resting, looking forward, actually, to its next conquest, Cuba. All right, so anyway, now I'll be honest. Donald Trump is a hard player, and I'll be real. I'm a little upset with the guy. Because I wish he would literally go this hard on the illegal aliens in our country and the corrupt woke judges and the corrupt politicians and all the fraud taking place within our nation. But as far as taking care of our enemies goes, this dude is not playing. Just understand the masterclass that we witnessed in regard to this war. Obliterated their navy, obliterated their air force. We're sitting out there. But Trump threatened to end their civilization. They completely cave on all the things that they promised. They're doing a peace deal now that they really didn't want to do. And if we don't get literally all the things we want, we obliterate them. We literally end a civilization. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, Nux, I can't believe your rhetoric. Well, yes, the people that chant death to America, you don't have a problem with their rhetoric, but you have a problem with my rhetoric when I want to obliterate the threat. This seems like a skill issue, my friend. Now, anyway, it's going pretty well, as you can see. Obviously, Iran violated the ceasefire. Army survivors say the Kuwait unit was hit by Iran, was unprepared to prepare itself. In fact, Kuwait released an entire massive statement. Statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Kuwait. Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated Kuwait's condemnation of the long and yappy. They did war crimes. They violated the ceasefire. They launched missiles and drones at a Gulf nation that was at peace with them, completely for no reason. A state of aggression increased for nothing. All right, so, and they're completely correct about this, and the entire world is silent. You know, the entire world is obviously screaming about the United States, screaming about Trump, screaming about this and that, and all that other gay shit that they like talking about. I don't know, make orgies in Iran again, they scream, whilst defending goat-raping pedophile dictators. But when those same goat-raping pedophile dictators are literally bombing innocent people in a completely random country that has nothing to do with the conflict whatsoever, all of a sudden dead silence everywhere. It's almost like the entire world is putting a pro-Iran spin, and a lot of the retards are falling for the psyop. A lot of, like, the liberal democracies in Europe, the super nice-based fine guys, the good people that are against all forms of racism and bigotry are more than happy to launder the reputation of an Islamic regime that massacred 40,000 of their own people. And honestly, a lot of the people in America are falling for this too. And it's really sad to see, and we'll get there in a minute. But first, and I think this is even more interesting, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte refuses to take CNN's bait. So he immediately travel to America. All right, so a ceasefire happens. J.D. Vance is going to Pakistan to do a peace negotiation. Immediately, head of the NATO alliance decided to show up in America because he's terrified that Trump is going to leave.
When President Trump threatened to kill the entire Iranian civilization.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said he would end the civilization. He didn't threaten to kill a civilization. Ending a civilization and killing a civilization are very different things. And you know that, CNN, fucko. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Reality is irrelevant to these people. And also, and I'm going to tell you an even better call. This is an even better analysis. He made a fucking tweet, guys. Could we chill the shit out? He made a tweet that you didn't like. Oh, my God.
When President Trump threatened to kill the entire Iranian civilization.
He didn't do that.
Did that bother you at all as a diplomat?
All right, so what CNN obviously wants to do, all right, now pay attention. What CNN obviously wants here is CNN wants him to say, yes, that did bother me, to drive a wedge between NATO and our allies and Trump, because CNN actually hates America and wants us to die. All right, now I hope you understand that that's what's going on.
When President you at all as a diplomat?
Well, you know, what I always say when it comes to what leaders are saying, I'm not commenting on everything. What I want you to know is that I support the president, and I know lots of things you do when it comes to taking out the capacity of Iran.
Oh, they tried so hard. They tried so hard to get a condemnation, and dude's like, no. Actually, killing terrorists is pretty fucking awesome.
Export chaos to the region, to Europe, to the whole world. They are one of the main enablers of Russia's war effort.
Yeah, they're very
in
bad
Ukraine.
people.
We all know this.
Yeah,
Very
all the
bad.
drones.
With the drones, it is an existential threat to Israel if they would get their hands on a nuclear capability.
Yep.
It is great to try to negotiate it away, but we also always knew that with North Korea, it took too long, and then North Korea had its hand on a nuclear.
Correct.
And we cannot negotiate.
Just
When
correct.
President Trump threatened to
Right, so did not take the bait. CNN is absolutely trying to turn everyone against us to the best of their ability, and it just didn't work. All right, bro's like, I don't give a fuck about a freaking tweet. These guys were trying to get a nuke. Just objectively the correct response, and also it's really nice to see NATO finally sucking up to us. Now, Donald Trump obviously does not see it that way. NATO wasn't there when we needed them, and they won't be there if we need them again. Remember Greenland, that big poorly run piece of ice? So yeah, things are actually happening, to be honest, and it's pretty awesome. Now, a lot of people are saying that, because I like reading both sides of every argument. I do my best to actually do the research. And a very popular position on the other side is NATO doesn't actually have to help the United States fighting Iran because it's not a defensive war, it's an offensive war, and NATO is a defensive alliance, not an offensive alliance. So obviously that's fucking bullshit because Iran has been attacking everyone for 47 years. All right, so obviously that's fucking bullshit that this is ultimately a defensive war. We're not fighting Iran because we're trying to conquer territory. We're fighting Iran because we don't want them to ever have the ability to obliterate us. So it is ultimately a very preemptive defensive war. That's one. And two, hello? You expect us to fund you guys in Ukraine? Ukraine's not part of NATO. Why are we forking over $350 billion to Ukraine? Ukraine had nothing to do with NATO. So, according to NATO rules, we shouldn't have to fund that at all. According to NATO rules, we shouldn't have had to fund Serbia versus Kosovo either. That wasn't part of NATO. None of this shit is part of NATO. But we're always there for our allies, and they are not. And honestly, we're noticing right now. So again, NATO trying their absolute best. This guy, he went to Washington. He met with Trump. He's going around on all the different TV, all the different media areas. He goes on CNN, doesn't take the bait. He goes on Fox News. We are going to help the Strait of Hormuz.
Logistical and other support.
We are here to help.
Needed in Iran.
Please don't leave
Some
NATO.
allies
Please.
were a bit slow, to say the least. In fairness, they were also a bit surprised. To maintain the element of surprise for the initial strikes, President Trump opted not to inform allies ahead of time. And I understand that.
Based. You think France wouldn't have leaked
So the
it?
White House now looking at possible punishments for some NATO allies, according to a piece in the Wall Street Journal today. Quote, the proposal would involve moving U.S. troops out of NATO member countries deemed unhelpful to the Iran war effort and stationing them in countries that were more.
Look, I have a very America first policy when it comes to America politics. I don't want to be funding foreign nations. Yes, that includes Israel. It includes Ukraine. It includes all of these. I don't want to be funding foreign nations infinitely. Absolutely not. And I also don't want to be part of NATO. I don't want to be part of the UN. I think our absolute #1 priority is taking care of America. We have so much shit to deal with here. All right? I don't want to be part of these gigantic alliances that just exist to kick us in the balls when we're taking care of threats to our nation. All right? I am so against all of this shit. It's unbelievable. And it's so shocking to me that, like, all the boomers in office, they just don't see it that way. Now, Ron DeSantis is actually going nuclear. He's the governor of Florida. He's saying we need to cut ties with England because they're an Islamic country. We don't even share the same values anymore.
Well, they've really shot themselves in the foot. I mean, you look at, like, the United Kingdom. That has been our best ally historically. We obviously came from there. Our culture grew out of English culture, our constitution and laws, all this stuff. Very tight bond. But I think what they've done and other European countries have done, they've imported in mass numbers people who don't want to be British, don't want to be French. They want to take where they came from and they want to change those countries to reflect things like Sharia.
That's right, baby. Come from the import the third world, become the third world. Zero room for debate. This is just the obvious perspective.
So if the reason why we have been allied with them for so long is because we have strong political and cultural bonds, well, those have eroded because of decisions that they have made. So I think what they've done, particularly on mass immigration, has been suicidal. We can't make those mistakes in the United States. And, you know, when I signed this legislation, some people are like, oh, well, that's not happening in Florida or whatever. First of all, they said the same thing 10, 15 years ago in Britain. They said, oh, don't worry about this.
The thing he's referring to is he signed a law banning Sharia law in Florida.
And then now you've seen what's ended up happening. So we're ahead of the curve here. It's the right thing to do. But yes, Europe's made a huge mistake. And the fact that if you don't want to join a military conflict, that's one thing. But to not allow us to use bases when we're not only your top ally, but have funded your defense for decades.
We are 70% of NATO. We are 70% of NATO's military. We are 70% of NATO's funding. All right. Literally, all of you need to fuck yourselves. I'm so tired of this bullshit where we're supposed to just grin and take it while all of Europe rapes us. Absolutely not. And this is just completely correct. He's just completely right about this. We don't share a common culture with these people. These are absolute cucks. I would love it if they could, elect, let's say, Rupert Lowe or something, deport all the retards and turn England into a glorious country once again. But now it's gay. Now it's gay as fuck. And as it is right now, I don't see it having a lot in common with the United States. Heartbreaking to say. Of course, Keir Starmer got all upset. Keir Starmer said he's fed up with Donald Trump and Putin. I'm fed up with the fact that families across the country see their bills go up and down on the energy businesses. Bills go up and down on energy because of the actions of Putin or Trump across the world. Well, you wouldn't have that issue if you weren't woke as fuck and you actually drilled for gases and oil. Right? If you actually didn't give a fuck about the environment, you would not have this issue. That's one. Two, I'm sorry that the actions that other people take in their own best interest doesn't personally affect you positively. Wow, that's really sad for you. It really doesn't affect the Iranian citizens publicly when they're getting massacred by the tens of thousands in the streets and you're sitting on your ass inviting Syrian terrorists into your parliament. I'm sorry. Not every decision made by every single country needs to be done with England's best interest. Honestly, fuck you. This entitlement is off the charts. It's insane that we need to listen to this gobbledygook, man. I'm very offended that Donald Trump stopped an existential threat to his country because it slightly negatively affected us. It's just listen to the pompous boisterousness of this dumb fuck. And everyone's like on his side. Wow, we put, Keir Starmer really told Trump. I'm telling you, man, the Muslims are playing like half the world like a fiddle. It's honestly insane. Now, Keir Starmer does this whole tweet making believe he was involved in the ceasefire. The 2-week ceasefire between the United States and Iran today is welcomed by the UK and our allies. Our goal must be a lasting end to this war. Literally, who the fuck are you? Who are you? You didn't get involved. You mentioned that many times. You didn't even let us use your fucking bases. Who are you? The goal? Who are you to tell us what the goal is? Fuck yourself, man. This dude let an entire generation of British children get raped. Not even exaggerating or hyperbolizing. He let that happen under his watch. And now he's gonna morally grandstand and tell us what must and must not be done from a humanitarian perspective. Alongside our international partners, the UK will work to assure freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. Now that there's peace, all right, now that there's peace, you're going to work on opening the Strait of Hormuz? Absolute, unbelievable, dumb fuck bullshit. And honestly, Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince of Iran, the exiled prince, fucking killed him on the timeline. The United Kingdom has endlessly appeased the criminal regime in Iran. Prime Minister speaks of protecting innocent civilians of Iran, but failed to help to stop the regime's massacre of 40,000 innocent Iranians in January. Only an end to this regime that brings terror to Britain's own shores will yield lasting peace and regional stability. Keir Starmer should follow in the footsteps of Churchill, not Chamberlain. He should support the Iranian people's fight for liberty. The Iranian people will remember who stood with them in their hour of need and who stood against them. There is still time for the government to change course, prosecute the IRGC that slaughters innocents, expel the illegitimate regime's ambassador, and act to support the people of Iran. And honestly, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. If you're coming this from like a purely humanitarian perspective, no one is being brutalized and abused more than the Iranian people. If you're coming from like an England first or America first perspective, then you can't possibly blame Trump for doing this, which benefits America. All right. If it's coming from a humanitarian perspective, you have zero legs to stand on. Crying about paying some extra gas while Iranians are getting massacred in the streets and blaming Trump. Like, it's unbelievable levels, like actually unbelievable levels of entitlement. Condemning Trump for raising your gases because he doesn't care about human life. Literally, holy fuck. He's fighting against a regime that's killed millions in the region, including tens of thousands of their own. Like, these people are despicable. Honestly despicable. It gets worse. So, Keir Starmer, I'm fed up with Trump because people are suffering.
I'm fed up with the fact that families across the country see their bills go up and down on energy.
You do realize that as it stands right now, there is more money going to migrants on welfare than people are paying income tax for throughout the entire England. Are you aware of that statistic?
Businesses bills go up and down on energy because of the actions of Putin or Trump across the world.
Like, it's unbelievable, unfathomable levels of arrogance. Like, literally, no one had you in mind. Right? When Trump started this war, you were literally not on his mind because, honestly, no one gives a fuck about you. And I'm really sorry if that offends you, and I'm really sorry if you're paying more for gas, but that is a consequence to a terrorist doing acts of terrorism in the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know if you heard the memo, but it's actually a war crime and a violation of international law for terrorists to bomb ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So, yes, I'm sorry that your gas prices are going up. It's because terrorists are doing bad things, and you refuse to condemn them. You absolute pussy. All right, this is the regime washing blood off the streets after they massacred protesters 2 months ago in Iran. Look at that, man. Or look at this. This is absolute heartbreaking. And you're crying about how people aren't thinking of the humanitarian needs of the British people. Like, are we being serious? I feel like this speaks for the entire nation. Here's Starmer here talking, and you have this dude just rolling his eyes in the background, this soldier. Like, it's honestly unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and I think everyone feels that way, right? So this is Trump's now very infamous tweet, right? Complete, immediate, safe opening, Strait of Hormuz, etc. Then you got leftoids losing their mind. You do realize that threatening total genocidal annihilation is completely fucking evil and immoral, right? You mean like chanting death to America? Well, like, this is the leftist mind. Trump making a tweet that causes Iran to buckle and make a peace deal. Well, you see, that is actually evil. But Iran massacring 40,000 of their own people and chanting death to America, not actually a threat, not actually an issue, nothing really to worry about there. Trump is the one in the wrong. This is the leftist mind. It really is. And now, here's the shocker. Iran is claiming that they are going to limit Strait of Hormuz tanker traffic.
Going on, we're watching it by the hour. So too is the White House, and Connor Hansen has an update from the North Lawn there. And Connor, good morning to you.
Bill, good morning. Only a handful of ships have been able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz since the ceasefire began, and questions over whether the strait is actually open could test this already fragile agreement. So far, Iran has maintained its tight grip on the vital shipping lane, reportedly telling mediators it will limit traffic to roughly a dozen ships per day.
That is called violating the agreement.
And those ships could have to pay tolls and coordinate with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Only 5 ships passed through the strait yesterday, according to the firm Kepler, and data from maritime traffic shows not all of them were carrying crude oil.
Wow, that's pretty bad. So the reality is, it's so pretty bad that Donald Trump tweeted, "There are reports that Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Hormuz Strait. They better not be, and if they are, they better stop now." And he made another tweet, "Iran is doing a very poor job, dishonorable, some would say, of allowing oil to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That is not the agreement we have." President Donald J. Trump warning them, bro, we might be going back to civilization-ending threats. All right, and here's, honestly, people on the ground in Iran are starting to get really upset about this. They didn't want a ceasefire here. The actual people in Iran wanted freedom. And so here are instances of drive-by shootings against the Islamic security. Right? Actual drive-by shootings of the people fighting back against these terrorist dictators. Right? It's honestly crazy. Right? And this is just the absolute state of the media right now.
Trump just transitioned. Yesterday, he was a tyrant. Today, he's a taco.
Donald Trump just caved, backing down from his fake deadline.
All day today, everyone, most notably the people of Iran, were wondering if their civilization was going to die tonight. Well, good news, it didn't. It was the Taco Tuesday of all Taco Tuesdays.
It's been very obvious for the last few days that the president was...
The taco standing for Trump always chickens out. Right? This is the leftist mindset. Trump is a genocidal tyrant. Trump is a coward. He didn't genocide an entire people. What a loser.
Looking for an off-ramp.
The taco, Trump always chickens out syndrome.
So Trump's a war criminal who stopped the war because he's a chicken.
Exactly.
I can't follow it.
Exactly.
You just want to give 47 the 25th because he threatened Iran so hard they signed a ceasefire?
That's right. He made a tweet that saved millions of lives. We need to invoke the 25th Amendment. He saved millions, but he made a mean tweet. Remove him from office.
We just can't accept a president who is literally promising to destroy an entire civilization.
Did that happen, or did it make peace?
To murder hundreds of thousands of innocent human beings.
Yeah, he never made that claim at all. These people like take Trump tweets and amp it up to a bajillion.
That alone should be grounds for the removal of this president.
Oh my God, he made a tweet, guys. Oh my God.
But he thinks, I guess, that the threat of mass-scale war crimes has achieved some success.
No, why is this a war crime? I don't understand. He never threatened a war crime, ever. At least not that I'm aware of. He didn't threaten a war crime. Taking out your enemy in a war is not a war crime. Like, this is the new world retard situation. And we have to play this game because, unfortunately, we are governed by idiots. Idiots! I wish Trump was, like, 1,000 times more radical than he actually is. Man, I wish Trump was the fascist that the leftists thought he was. Like, I want to see him open up mass deportation campaigns and getting rid of them by the millions, every single illegal in the country. I would love that. That would be awesome, actually. Getting the military to start storming different states and just start arresting retards that deserve it. That would be incredible. I wish that he was half the fascist that these people think he is.
Senator Chris Murphy said Trump was losing the war and he should stop bombing. So Trump stopped bombing. And Murphy called him crazy for stopping. Again, it makes no sense. I can't tell if the Democratic Party wants war or peace.
They're just anti-Trump. That is their entire policy.
I just know they want Trump to lose. And they want to lock him up for free speech.
And they also want America to lose.
The language there was, a war crime. It threatens.
Well, where's this fucking war crime? What are we even talking about? What, you're not allowed to win wars anymore? This is literally the new world. The new world governed by gay liberals and Islamic countries, like France and England. They're both gay liberals and Islamic countries. So the entire world governed by these like emotional manlets. All right, they just refuse to let people win wars. They just refuse. Refuse. You're not allowed to win wars according to these people.
It's war crime. It threatened genocidal-like behavior.
So they should surrender. You know what? This is how war works. You kill them until they surrender or they're dead. That is how war works in the simplest of terms. I know it sounds really mean, but that's war. War is not actually nice. It's not pretty. War fucking sucks very often. The reality is, the way war works is, you threaten them, you kill them, they surrender, or they die. That is how it works. I don't know where this hyper-glorified reality is, where all these people think you're not allowed to win wars, where that shit comes from, but it's honestly pathetic.
Is the kind of language, as I said yesterday, associated with the monsters of history, to wipe out a civilization. That's simply not...
He made a fucking tweet!
How
presidents God.
Speak. That's not how leaders of democracies speak.
It's not a democracy.
He's right. That's not usually how presidents speak. But most presidents don't usually win wars in 38 days. Maybe
Also
more
true.
presidents should speak like that. We wouldn't have been in Afghanistan for 20 years.
True.
Paul Morrow.
I love how people think that Trump is like the worst president ever now because we went to war for 38 days and got a ceasefire with the Islamic death cult.
Made the point on the 5. You know who really ended the Persian civilization? The mullahs.
True.
They had a beautiful thing going on until the Islamic Revolution. The media thinks Trump's the bad guy. And the mullahs, who slaughter protesters and use kids as human shields, they have the moral high ground.
How can the president claim that America can ever have the moral high ground if he's threatening to destroy civilization?
These people are gigantic pussies. Honestly, thanks to the Democratic Party, the blue whale's vagina is the second biggest pussy on the planet. Even John Fetterman, former Democrat, even he agrees.
And now if you want to talk about a war crime, Iran is a 47-year-old war crime, what they continue to behave. So, I, as a Democrat, I supported what President Trump did, to actually call Iran accountable. And I think it's been successful. As you've discussed, and I agree, it's not finished yet, but now where we are now, we are 38 days in.
Exactly. And the entire leftoid party is just losing its mind. Now, Donald Trump had this to say in regards to Iran violating the ceasefire a lot.
Comments from President Trump on the ceasefire in Iran. The president telling NBC News in a brand new interview that he was very optimistic a peace deal with Iran was within reach and that Iran's leaders talk much differently when you're at a meeting than they do to the press. They're much more reasonable. President Trump also saying that if Iran does not make a deal, quote, it's going to be very painful.
And We'll see what happens. Ultimately, I have had a stance for the entirety of this war, and a lot of people are mad at me about it, but I don't care. My stance is you have to wait until the chips fall. We don't know all the details. Obviously, we're not in these classified briefings. We don't know what these actual negotiations are sounding like. We don't even know what Trump is really asking for in these negotiations. I think it includes the nuclear dust and everything, but I think it's going to be drastic. Otherwise, Iran would have absolutely agreed already. So my stance is very simple. My stance is, when the dust settles, we will be able to judge this. Until it settles, we are operating on quasi-information, and based on what we're seeing right now, we have obliterated an enemy. Now, I think this is incredible. The United States is starting to investigate American influencers taking foreign money, which is amazing. And this is the Israeli lobby targeting their competition. What a weird thing to say. What a weird thing to say. Wait, so you think the Israeli lobby is trying to get influencers canceled for taking funds from foreign countries? Hold up a second. So these people really don't care about foreign influence? It's only specifically about Israeli foreign influence? I just think that's the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. This gotta be the wildest cell phone ever.